all I ever wanted for Christmas was for the Patriots to be bad for more than like 1 year. Was that too much to ask for them to be a normal franchise with ups and downs and ebbs and flows? I mean, they have been the dominant franchise in all of professional sports for going on 2 decades now. They have one down season in a pandemic year where they barely go under 500, and then 1 year later, they're back to putting up 40 burgers on the Jets like nothing ever changed. It's ridiculous, it's mildly irritating, and it kind of scares the shit out of me. Or, more specifically, Mac Jones scares the shit out of me. Because, let's be honest, he's one of the biggest reasons for this quick Patriots turnaround. He's been spectacular as a rookie. He's really helped to guide this offense to be not just competent, but actually pretty good. And he's only started 11 games. We haven't even begun to see what kind of real damage Mac Jones can do because, relatively speaking, he's still a NFL puppy. He's barely played at all, and he's already looked pretty good. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk solely about Mac Jones, not the Patriots as a whole, even though they are a pretty good team as a whole. We're just going to stick to Mac Jones. I'm going to break down a ton of film on what he does well, focusing mainly on, in my opinion, his best 3 attributes: pocket presence and his ability to handle pressure, accuracy at all 3 levels of the field, and finally, I guess you can roll this into decision making, but really it's more about his controlled kind of aggression when targeting receivers down the field. It is those 3 qualities that, in my opinion, define Mac Jones, and therefore define the Patriots offense overall. But before we get into all that, just one reminder, today's show is sponsored by me. I get a lot of messages pretty much every time I post an episode asking where I get the hoodies that I wear, and I am the source of the hoodies that I wear. I design these myself. I put them over on the merch store. This is my Patriots hoodie, which I found pretty appropriate. If you're a Patriots fan, you probably recognize this play. This is Hoss Wide Juke, which is a staple Patriots concept, and also happened to be the big catch that Gronk got in the Super Bowl a few years ago that set up their game winner. And I felt that this was as good a play as any to make my Patriots hoodie. And I have hoodies for a whole bunch of other teams: Cowboys, Panthers, Eagles, Vikings, Ravens, Steelers. I mean, you name it. I have a lot of hoodies, and I'm adding more really throughout the next coming week. You can find those at brettcoleman.com/filmroommerch. The link is down in the description below. It'll be in a pinned comment, and of course, it's on the screen. But if you guys are interested in anything on the store, go check that out. And with that being said, let's get into this film. First things first, let's talk pocket presence. If any of you check box scores throughout the season and you were seeing Mac Jones under a lot of pressure over the first 5 games, 66 pressures over that time period to be exact, there were a lot of reasons for that. For starters, Jones himself was clearly still adjusting to the speed of the game and learning what he could get away with and what he couldn't behind an offensive line that was, honestly, at the time, full of second and even third stringers due to injuries. But also back then, I think the coaching staff was still trying to figure out what their sweet spot was in terms of play calls as well. It wasn't until week 6 and onward when both the offensive line started getting healthier and when Josh McDaniels started getting a little bit more dialed in with how he wanted to handle his protection schemes that we started to see the pressure count on Jones go down and his efficiency as a passer go up. Obviously, like all other quarterbacks, when Jones is not under pressure, he's been great. But as the year has gone on, he's also gotten noticeably better when things don't go right up front, and when he has to deal with rushers in his face or with having to throw basically through contact when the pocket is completely collapsed. If there's one thing that I can say about him, it's that whether protection is good or not, he's always very calm in the pocket. You basically never see him panic, ever, and that's a great quality to have. There's one play in particular that really stuck out to me while studying Patriots tape for this episode, and it was on a rather unassuming 3rd and 5 situation last week against Atlanta. Before the snap, the Falcons were lined up in a classic Mike Zimmer-style double mug look with both linebackers walked up into the A-gaps on the line of scrimmage, and at least in terms of coverage, it looked like a pretty safe bet that Atlanta was in some sort of man look, likely cover 1 rat here, which if you watched the Broncos and Cowboys on this channel a couple weeks ago, you already know all about that coverage by now. And in terms of the offensive concept that Jones was working here to the boundary side against this single high safety look, the Patriots call this concept Gotti, which stands for a go by the number 1 receiver outside and an option route by the number 2 receiver in the slot. It's a pretty reliable concept against man coverage, especially if you trust your slot receiver to win on the option route as a checkdown if the go route doesn't get open quickly. Now, what's interesting about this play, and what makes it not just another run-of-the-mill third down conversion, is that Atlanta is not running cover 1 rat here. Hell, they aren't even running cover 3 match or any single high safety coverage at all. They're actually running a crazy aggressive fire zone concept that many coaches call gut 2. And by the way, shout out to Coach Vass for teaching me about this call. He's an incredibly knowledgeable defensive coach that's been a huge resource for me, especially on defensive football. And you need to go follow him on Twitter and YouTube, like, immediately, because he's awesome. But anyway, gut 2 calls for that deep middle safety to come down at the last second and shoot like a missile right up the gut through the line of scrimmage as a 5th pass rusher that usually comes completely unblocked. At the same time, the 2 apex defenders will drop back deep to play in deep half zones. The 2 edge rushers will also drop off the line of scrimmage to play in the short hook zones, and the corners will stay in the flats as zone defenders in cover 2. This is, quite frankly, a wild blitz concept that might be my favorite that I've seen the Falcons run all season long, and to their credit, they did get this free safety, Deron Harmon, totally unblocked into the backfield, so it absolutely worked for them. But because the Patriots quarterback is Mac Jones and not just any normal rookie, New England was still able to get a first down on this play. On the end zone angle, you can see just how calm, cool, and collected Jones is. He has full vision of Harmon barreling down on him at full speed, but he's not dropping his eyes, he's not ducking and taking a sack out of fear. He's just backing up, looking for Jacoby Myers on the option route because he knows that's going to be open, and then he just casually throws it to a spot where only Myers is going to be able to catch it to move the chains. I just can't get over how good this play is. To be in his 11th game ever in the NFL and hit with a blitz at full speed that he's probably never seen before in his life, and just to calmly and casually get a first down anyway as a rookie, I just love everything about that. I know that he's never going to make the same kinds of batshit insane throws deep down the field that Justin Herbert makes, and he's never going to scramble for crazy touchdowns like Justin Fields. That's why he rightfully went at 15 and not in the top 5. But these kinds of plays, the little ones that are less about arm talent and more about poise and touch, those are the ones that add up the most to help teams win a lot of football games. And I promise you, with Mac Jones, the Patriots are going to win a lot of games because of those kinds of plays. However, that being said, I do want to clarify something real quick because even though he doesn't have a Justin Herbert arm or a Josh Allen type arm, which I don't think anybody can argue that he does, that's not even a debate to me, it doesn't mean that he has no arm. His velocity is good, no matter what weird narrative was preached about him pre-draft, and it certainly was better than Tua's was coming out of Alabama the year before, and overall, I do think that he is a very, very effective passer at every level of the field. There is not a single throw in the playbook that I don't trust Mac Jones to make, and when it comes to our second trait, accuracy, I truly do think that his touch, timing, and ball placement is better than a lot of other quarterbacks in his age bracket that maybe have stronger natural arms. There's a lot of throws that I could highlight that are among his best this season, and you've probably seen a lot of them already because he has a lot of highlights. But there was a throw in the Cleveland game in particular that I just have to break down because of how ridiculously good the ball placement was. Taking a look at this play before the snap, the Browns are in kind of an ambiguous defensive look here. It could be a 2-high structure, they could be planning to roll down to a single high structure. It's just a bit murky to read, but with Hunter Henry motioning across the formation to give the defense a quasi 4x1 look to the field side, that kind of forces the defense to just play it similarly no matter what they're in, whether it's man or match quarters or 3-3 fire zone. When you've got 4 threats all on one side of the field, it usually just devolves into man match principles anyway, which is what the Patriots want. They want every receiver to be basically matched up man-to-man with no help, because on this route concept, which is double posts as a clear out with a corner route from Henry underneath them, they want this field side corner to have to haul ass to stay deep over the top of this big post from number 1, because he has no protection and no help from the deep middle safety, because that deep safety is already preoccupied with bracketing the other post from number 2. There's just too many threats deep down the field to double team everyone, so that forces this corner into staying so far over the top of everything that he has no shot of peeling off of this post to come down and threaten the corner route from Henry. He just has no chance to get there at all. So essentially this concept is just manufacturing a one-on-one throw to the sideline against a defender that is leveraged way too far inside to do anything about it, and they're trusting Mac Jones to be able to pay off this concept with a perfect throw that has touch, timing, and accuracy. And by the way, that throw also has to come from all the way across the field on the far hash. Believe me, that is not an easy throw. But because Mac Jones, of course, does have that kind of accuracy and touch and timing and anticipation, I mean, you literally could not throw this ball any better than he just did. We can talk about how good the pocket looks. We could talk about Henry himself being a very good tight end, which of course helps things too. But at the end of the day, neither of those matter if the quarterback can't deliver a perfect ball and deliver it routinely at every level of the field, and Mac Jones does just that. So when you look at Jones overall as a quarterback, he has pocket presence and he has accuracy and he's really tough and he's really smart, obviously. And all of those qualities are great. Any NFL team would love their rookie quarterback to be built just like that. But truth be told, at least to me, what makes Jones the most special is how he combines all of those traits that we've gone over so far so that he can be situationally aggressive, but without being careless. We know that he's a good deep ball thrower. I mean, that shows up on tape every single week. And we know that he can navigate messy pockets and hang in there long enough for concepts to develop deep down the field, which is also important. But it's his controlled aggression as a decision maker, his ability to know when to take a shot and use his traits and when not to take a shot, that I find to be his best quality. One of the hallmarks of young quarterbacks is that young quarterbacks make stupid throws that put their teams in bad position to win games, but Mac Jones, at least compared to most rookies, doesn't make a whole lot of stupid throws. And that's not to say that he isn't aggressive and that he doesn't push the ball down the field ever, because he absolutely does. But like I said, he saves those shot plays for situations where the post safety is nowhere near a threat to the route, or when he knows he has favorable space to drop the throw in so that his receivers are protected from contact, and when they have good leverage on the defender to make a play. He turns traditionally low percentage throws into very high percentage throws with his decision making and accuracy, and at least to me, that's the main reason why he's been so efficient as a passer. Look, I could go on and on all day long about how good I think Mac Jones is in a variety of different ways, and I fully acknowledge that he's not a physical freak like Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, and Lord knows he's not even close to Lamar Jackson, but he's still a very good quarterback overall. And at least for a team like New England that already has an elite defense and an elite offensive line and elite special teams, and arguably the most cohesive and experienced organizational structure in the entire NFL, just having a good quarterback that has the potential to be great later, that's more than enough for them. Maybe I'm falling way too hard for Mac way too early here, but I'll be honest, the Patriots look like the best team in the AFC right now, and their rookie quarterback is a really big reason for that. So yes, New England is scary again, but more importantly, their quarterback is scary again. And if you've spent any amount of time studying this team this season or watched any Patriots games at all, that shouldn't surprise you one bit. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving and enjoyed all that time with your family and friends. It's nice to have true Thanksgivings again. And, as you're seeing your family throughout the rest of the holidays, make sure to make them one of these. This is something that I just randomly threw together before going on camera today, and it tastes exactly like spiced apple pie. So I'm going to have to figure out what to call this, but it's really, really damn good. So make these at home. I'm going to throw the recipe down in the pinned comment below, so make sure to go check that out. And yeah, with that all being said, hope to see you all back here next week for another full Film Room episode. And until then, cheers.